Hey everybody, it's Emily, the Crazy Worm Lady. I'm here today with the Forbidden Foods bin. Wanted to see how these guys were getting along. A little bit behind on updates, still trying to catch up from last week. But you're seeing a lot more composted material, which is great. Down here was kimchi in this corner. We wanted to see how that went, so let me zoom in so I can pull it out here. Not really seeing any signs of the kimchi, but there's worms. So that's a good sign. Cover this stuff back up over here. And let's see what we got over here. I'm gonna zoom back out again for a second. The worms are looking really nice and fat. Usually the blue worms are fairly thin, but these guys are looking really good. They're much thinner than the red wigglers in general, but all these worms are looking really nice. I'm not seeing signs of food. Just looks like there's worms kind of all throughout here. We'll dig up the middle a little bit. It's looking to me like most of our food is probably gone out of here because there's really not very many worms in any one spot. But you can see stuff in here is getting more and more composted, so that's encouraging. Like I mentioned last week, I'm going to pretty much stop feeding this bin forbidden foods. We tested quite a few and none of them have been dangerous that we've seen. So I'm thinking of just turning this into a regular bin, feeding it some regular food, and finish out this compost hopefully in the next few months. But you can see castings all throughout here. I didn't have a ton of worms to start with, so it's going to take a little bit more time, but they're definitely doing great work. They were excellent participants in our experiment, so I'm going to grab a little bit of bedding, a little bit of food, and we will get these guys fed up. Okay, so I just pushed, oh shoot, the castings up to this one side here, laid down a few pieces of just hand shredded cardboard with some crushed oyster shell. And I'm thinking of giving these guys a nice big feeding of coffee grounds. It's one of their favorites. And a little bit of kitchen scraps as well. But I saved my used coffee grounds. So I figured, since my tin over here is getting relatively full, that I would give these guys a nice feeding of it. They like it. It goes pretty fast in the bins, so why not? And since they sit in this tin on my counter, they actually do start to get a little bit of mold, which is good for the worms. They are able to break it down a little bit more quickly. So that's a nice, I don't know, 3-4 handfuls there. And I also have, I should have opened this before I started filming. Sorry guys. Let me grab this real quick. Sorry, I always forget to unzip my bags before I bring the food in. This food was not frozen first. It was just some scraps that were left on my counter after cooking. So it's some celery, which is a slower food to break down. Some onion skins, which we know are fine for the worms. And got some celery tops that are now really getting nasty, and a little piece of carrot. But that's all I'm going to give right now because we've been feeding this bin relatively small amounts, so I don't want to push too much. But I am going to cover this up really well with our bedding, because this is one of my bins. I'm going to end up regretting saying this and jinx it, but this is one of my bins I've not been seeing a lot of those beetles in for the last few weeks. And some of my other bins are getting just large numbers of those little tiny beetles. So I want to make sure that we keep everything really well covered, because that can help prevent some of those bugs from finding their way in. So I'm really digging this stuff out of the bottom and really piling it on over here. So I think that's pretty well covered. This other side now really has very little bedding left, but I'll just leave this as is and cover up the bin with our newspaper here, and we'll check back in on it next week. I'll still continue this series until this this bin is done. But like I said, I felt like we had tested most foods. If you guys come up with something else you'd like me to try, I'd be more than happy to, but I am looking to start feeding this a little bit more aggressively and try to get this bin composted. Looking to start some growing experiments in my indoor garden, so I want to make sure I have plenty of compost to do that. So drop your comments below, like this video, subscribe if you'd like some more content from me, and I'll be back with you guys real soon for an update.